Today, I'm going to be showing you how I built this 37 AI agent marketing and sales team here in Relevance AI. As you can see, I have a LinkedIn post writer agent, an X post writer agent, a newsletter agent, an image generator agent who can generate both personal images of me, but also infographics with Nano Banana. We have an agent that can create entire presentations. Then we have an entire AI SEO agent team that can create multiple articles in a topic cluster. It can do keyword research, draft posts and images, and post them on my website. And then we have a bunch of other agents like this lead qualifier agent, some other sales agents, email agent, Google Drive agents, and more. I'll give away the entire setup in the link in the description below. I'll show you guys how to import it all for free and set it up by the end of this video. But first, let me show you a demo. Then I'll break down the builds and Relevance AI if you're not familiar with it yet. So Relevance AI basically just released a new feature that I think is really interesting, which is called chat. Now, the cool thing is that we can basically access all of these agents here in the same chat or even inside of Slack. And if you're familiar with multi-agent teams, the cool thing with this new feature is that we can now access all of these agents separately without having to go through manager agents, which if you've tried it, you know it can become a little bit of a broken telephone game, which can lead to a lot of errors and problems. And because we have lots of human in the loop right now between calling these different agents, we can avoid a lot of the problems we have with multi-agent teams. So let's say, for example, I want to repurpose my last YouTube video. I can just copy the link and tag all the agents that I need. So for example, I want a LinkedIn post. So I tag the LinkedIn writer, I tag the newsletter writer, and the X writer. Then I just paste in the link and say, please write a post based on this YouTube link. So you can see first the LinkedIn post writer agent starts writing the LinkedIn post. Then the newsletter agent will write the newsletter and the X post writer will write the X post. So we'll just let them run quickly and see the outcome. So the agent's now finished up. So here we have the LinkedIn post from the LinkedIn post writer agent, right? In a LinkedIn style, of course, and my style. It adds in a CTA of me, of course. Then we have an entire newsletter in my style. All right, it's 5:23 a.m. and I'm watching the sunrise in Sao Paulo, which is where I live. Just finished reviewing our monthly numbers. Coffee's getting cold, mine's racing. Let me show you something that will blow your mind, etc. So you can see it takes, if you've seen my video, it followed it very well. Then we have, of course, lastly, the X post, which is a lot shorter, right? Everyone's fighting over the 11 billion AI agency market. Meanwhile, there's a 3 trillion opportunity nobody sees. Service agencies using AI are hitting 70% margins while traditional agencies struggle at 20%. The secret, don't sell AI, sell outcomes. Now, let's say I want to generate an image for these posts. I can then just tag the image generator agent and say, please generate an image. So we can do both infographics and personal image about me. So for example, please generate an image of Ben working in an office in Amsterdam. So now the image generator will spin up an image of me in Amsterdam, hopefully. So the image generator just finished up. Now I think they're still developing the chat feature, so it doesn't show the image in the chat yet, but I can just access it here. Let's see. That's actually really good. That looks a lot like me in Amsterdam. Of course, we can download it from here too. But I can also generate infographics. So please also generate an infographic for the LinkedIn post. So the image generator just finished making the infographic. So again, if I go in here, let's look at the result. And you can see it's pretty amazing. 3 trillion SaaS agencies. Again, if you've seen the video, this is actually a really good infographic. Of course, I fed it an example of the infographics that I like to use on my LinkedIn. So follow that style a lot, but you can see this is really good. And another really cool feature in Relevance AI is we can also make agents remember things. So for example, I really like this X post. I can just say to the agent there, so we're going to tag Savi and we can say, please remember this post as a reference post to follow the tone of voice and style of for your next generations. And basically what will happen is this specific agent will remember this specific content. And next time we generate content, it can use that as a reference when writing a new one. Right. And I think this is a really cool feature. So we can basically add memory to agents by just telling them to remember things. Now, another thing I really like with this new feature of Relevance AI is we can actually use deep research, OpenAI's deep research together with agents. We want to do deep research on a topic. And we also want, maybe based on the deep research, we want to generate a presentation. So I can first go to the deep researcher and say, please do deep research on how to optimize your website to be ranked in AI search. So this took around 5 minutes, right? Because it's deep research, but we get very deep insight on how to optimize for AI search. And of course, now I can, for example, use this to build a presentation. So I can call my presentation creator and just say, please generate a slideshow for, let's say, marketing agencies based on this deep research on how to optimize for AI search rankings. Now he's going to work and I'll show you the results in a second. So the presentation agent just finished up. So here we can view it in Gamma. If you don't know Gamma, it's an AI presentation generator, or we can download the entire PPTX. So let's just check it out. Optimizing for AI search rankings, a practical guide for marketing agencies. Right, you'd have to fill this out. Of course, you can edit this still. It added in AI images, today's agenda, AI search fundamentals, ranking signals, content and technical optimization. What is AI search? How AI search rankings different? Key ranking signals. So pretty impressive. Again, this is done through Gamma. I also highly recommend checking it out. It's a really easy and fast way to generate presentation. And now they have an API, so we can let our agents, for example, make these. Now, of course, there are many more demos I can do with these 37 AI agents, but I'll just keep it short. So I'll show you 2 more. So the next one I want to show you quickly is the SEO workforce. Now, what we've done until now is use the multi-agent mode, where we can basically use multiple of these agents separately inside of one chat. But now we're going to use our SEO team here. So in this case, we have to change the mode to workforce mode. And there we basically pick one of our teams. So in this case, I'll pick my content team. And now I'll talk to the manager agent of my team. So this is more of a traditional multi-agent sort of setup. So in this case, I'll say generate multiple articles in a topic cluster about how to optimize for AI search. Now I can send that off. That will be sent to the manager agent, who's then gonna use keyword research, also with integrations with Moz to get up-to-date keyword analytics. It'll generate first multiple topics for a cluster around this topic, so we cover everything, and then write multiple articles based on that. It can also then update it into my Webflow, my website. So this is going to take a while because it's going to write multiple articles, but I'll come back when it's finished. So the SEO team just finished up. This literally took 35 minutes, but it's really impressive what they've done. So you can see that the article orchestrator first started delegating some tasks to the keyword researcher to find the right topics for this topic cluster. So it uses Moz API to do keyword research, right? It defined the right topics, did a lot of research, etc. As you can see, again, you can check out the entire setup of this team in more detail if you clone the template. So here's the first one, using AI for content optimization. You can see the keyword research for this specific article, right? The relevance score, etc. So this is the research. Then we have the draft here of the blog post. Now here's the second one, how to use AI tools for better SEO. And again, the keyword research behind this topic. Then we have the future of AI SEO optimization, trends and predictions. So again, I won't go into it too long. Of course, I can also publish it to my website, but I don't want to drag out this demo too long, but it's pretty impressive. Again, you can check out it more in detail how this works if you clone the template. Now, last demo I'm going to show you is inside of Slack. So I can use all of these agents that I showed right here inside of Slack, and anyone in my team can use these in Slack. And the way this works is I can just tag Relevance AI. Then I can basically tag a specific agent. So in this case, I'm going to use the lead qualifier agent to check if a lead is qualified and to maybe update my HubSpot if they are. So in this case, I can call my agent, specific agent. In this case, the lead qualifier agent is called Quinn. And I say, please research this lead. Just put a random example, sarah@slack.com, right? And if I hit enter now you can see we get a response here, right? Lead qualified, contact Sarah Walker at Slack, right? This is the LinkedIn of Sarah, and create a contact in HubSpot and create a follow-up task. So if I go to HubSpot and refresh, We'll take away this filter. We can see now follow up with Sarah Walker, CEO at Slack. But this is a really cool feature and a very popular feature in Relevance AI because anyone can now start using agents. And the interesting thing is because you see other people in your organization using agents, the adoption in the company becomes very strong because they see other people using these agents. And that's the cool thing with this chat feature and this Slack feature is anyone in the team, in the organization that builds agents, anyone in the team can access through Slack or this chat feature. Now, Quinn, the lead researcher, has access to LinkedIn scrapers, HubSpot API calls, etc., to do research on these leads and define if they're qualified, etc. Now, of course, there are many more possibilities with these 37 AI agents. We have an entire AI BDR team here, which can write personalized outreach, send personalized outreach messages through LinkedIn, can respond to those messages, set appointments. We have HubSpot Assistant, Notion Assistant. We have an entire Google Suite a team, right, which can manage basically all our Google softwares. We have a research agent. We also have, of course, the SEO agent, the enrichment agent, the qualifying agent. We have a voice agent. So there's many more possibilities. Again, you can check it all out by just copying the entire setup in the link in the description below. I'm going to show you how to import it at the end of this video. But first, I want to give you an overview of Relevance AI and the setups of these agents here. Now, if you know my channel, you know that I did a lot of videos on Relevance AI back in the day when I started, but I shifted more and more towards N8N because I shifted more and more towards building deterministic AI systems that we can resell, like our SEO agency in a box. Now, what's the main difference between these platforms? The easiest way to describe it is Relevance AI focused a lot on non-deterministic automation and N8N on deterministic automation because Relevance focuses heavily on AI agent building and less on deterministic workflow building. While N8N, of course, traditionally is more of a workflow or logic-based automation platforms, but we have some AI agents integrations now too, of course. But that's the main difference. And that's why I shifted more and more towards N8N because, of course, when you're delivering systems to clients and you want to make them as reliable as possible, then at the moment, deterministic systems still make them a lot more reliable. But I think with this new use case here in Relevance AI, this new feature, for some use cases, this can now be really interesting setup too, because the advantage of Relevance is that we can spin up an agent really quick, which I'll show you in a second. And then you can build agents for yourself, for people in your company, and anyone in the company can really build in Relevance, right? They make it really easy. And all of these agents that everyone creates can just be accessed through the same chat here or in the Slack channel. And because now we have lots of human in the loop here through the chat or through Slack, we can error correct our agents. We don't have to pass through 5 agents to communicate things where usually things go wrong in multi-agent teams. So I think for some of these use cases, like marketing use cases and sales use cases, and to get adoption across the team, it's definitely worth checking out these new features here in Relevance AI. Now, if you're new to Relevance AI or maybe you haven't used it for a while, it has changed a little bit. So I'll walk you through very quickly. Besides the new chat feature, we also have a new marketplace here where basically anyone can post their finished AI agents themselves or even sell them. You will find a lot of them for free, but some are paid. And this can really save you a lot of time if you're looking for a specific use case and maybe someone else has already built it out. You also find tool templates, and soon you also find some templates of me in this marketplace. Now, second thing here is tasks, where we basically can track all the tasks that run across in our entire organization. And then in the workforce, there are really 3 things you want to understand is first we have tools. Tools are basically deterministic workflows we can build, right? Which we do if you're maybe familiar with N8N or Make.com more. Then we can give them to our AI agents, of course, these tools. And tools are generally to give our AI agents access to softwares, for example, to take actions in softwares or to do specific tasks. So we can give these tools to our agents. And then we can combine tools and agents in a workforce. So we can build multi-agent teams, or we can even add in tools between agents, etc., which I'm going to show you in a second. I'll show you first how tools work. So if I, for example, look at a tool that I built for my image generator agent, the text to image generation for infographics, you can see that it's quite similar to a platform like Make.com or N8N. We can define the inputs here. So the input fields in this case is I had the style of image, right? Image inspiration, which basically I just added in one of my infographic examples, right, that I like to use for my LinkedIn. So I can use that as a reference when generating the image. Then also a description or a prompt for the image. So our agent can fill out a prompt to describe what this image should be about and the image size. Right now, you can add these simply here. right? And always important for your agent to describe here what it has to do. So your agent has context on what to fill out in each of these fields. And then from there, we can add in steps, right? And of course, in these steps, we can add in LLMs, right? Prompts, OpenAI, any language model. We can use any softwares. Relevance AI now has thousands of integrations with softwares, which previously they didn't have. So you can integrate any software here. And of course, we have some flow controls like branching, which is like conditioning basically, and looping over items. So we can just string together a few steps to make a workflow here. And in this case, I only have the text to image generation. And basically I can use these input fields here as a variable in the prompt. In this case, where I use Nano Banana's image generator. So I pass in the prompt and the image size as a variable. And the way I do that is by using the curly brackets. And you'll see that all the variables from the previous steps, they pop up here. So, and then in this one, in the input image URL, I've put in the reference image, right? And this one, by the way, I've set as default. So my agent doesn't have to fill that out each time. It will always be this default image as an inspiration. So that's how tools work. Now in Relevance, we can also create tools automatically, which is a new feature they have, which is called Invent. And basically we can just with human language create the tool ourselves. So here you can see we have magic, and here I can just say what I want. So I want a tool that generates an image um, with Nano Banana. So you'll see that it will start building the tool automatically. Now, again, I recommend learning a little bit of tool building yourself, because this generally gets you maybe 95% there. Sometimes it works perfect, but just you understanding how it actually works in the backend is going to help you a lot in actually building good tools, right? But it can definitely save you a lot of time. So you can see it's generating. So it's finished the tool. Now, as this is a simple tool, I think it will work perfectly, but let's see. I can just run it here. So it finished and it ran successfully, and you can see it actually generated an image. And now we can save this tool and of course give it to an agent. Now agents have changed a little bit too in Relevance AI. So I'll just show you through the example of the image generator that I set up. So here, of course, we have the prompt on the left. This is the system prompt for our AI agent. And here we can reference the tools. So in this case, I gave it 2 tools, and we can reference the tools by just giving a dash here. Right, then we have tools. Of course, here we can add the tools. We can also add in human in the loop steps where approval is required, for example. And here we can add any other tool we want to give to this agent. Then we have knowledge, where we can upload any custom knowledge base. Maybe you need specific context around your business, etc. So you can upload a CSV, but you can also just simply connect it very easily to your Google Drive, to your Notion, or even your website. And then we have triggers where, for example, I have the trigger set up where this agent can be called from Slack, which I'm going to show you later in this video when I show you how to import the templates. But we can have triggers from other channels too, as you can see here, from Gmail, Google Calendar, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, HubSpot, etc. Now, another cool new feature, which I showed before, is we now have the memory option too. So we can either add memory here in the agent settings. So for example, as you can see here, you can say after receiving an email reply, mark prospect replied as true. But you can also give it, memory on you, for example. It's like, okay, remember that I live in Sao Paulo, that my name is this, that my company does this, or remember my tone of voice, etc. So I think this is a cool feature. And you can also just say this to your agent when you're chatting to them. You don't have to necessarily set it up here in the agent settings. Then we have escalations if we want human in the loop. So maybe it can't do something before having your approval. Then you can add in an email address. I think we'll then send you an email asking for a request before taking the next action, right? And you can do the same through Slack too. And of course, you can do that for tools too. So you can decide to always let a human approve before it uses a tool. And then here we have some advanced settings where we can, of course, decide on the language model for the AI agent, right? We can make MCP servers out of our agents too, which is quite cool if you're familiar with MCP. But the cool thing in Relevance is we can do the same what I showed you with tools also for agents. So we can create agents really, really fast with the magic instruction, right? With the invent feature. So for example, I can say, create an AI agent that can generate images about me and can also generate infographics. These images are should specifically be made on based on LinkedIn posts. Really bad prompt, but I just want to give you an example. So I can just click here on start, and it will start building the agent itself. which again is going to save you maybe a little bit of time, but of course you do have to make generally some adjustments in the prompt, etc., before it starts fully functioning and working perfectly. But it can definitely save you some time, especially when you get started. So you can see it generated the agent, right? Pixel, the LinkedIn visual creator, right? I can just go and accept everything it has done. So let's see your Pixel, an expert AI visual creator specialized in transforming LinkedIn content into engaging images and infographics. So this is pretty good. So you see it already added in tool steps, but these are just default. You actually have to add in the tools yourself. You can see it just came up with some suggestions. So let's say, just say accept. So now it's actually adding the recommended tools, which I'll probably have to change. But if it's actually fine, you can see, you can actually automatically create the access to these different tools, and then it will basically set up the entire agent for you. Now, again, generally you need some adjustments and some time because, for example, this was not my idea. I wanted my own tools, but probably if I came up with a better prompt, it could do this a lot faster and better. The next thing, of course, is workforces. And in workforces, we can basically combine all of these different agents and tools into a workforce. So let's just discard this one. And we go to workforce. So I'll show you the SEO team that I built here. Again, I'll probably be published in the marketplace too. But here we can basically put multiple agents, tools, and triggers together inside of a workforce. And we can also set up conditions, etc. So you can see I can add in an agent here. So for example, I want the content outliner to also have access to a research agent. Then I can just add a research agent here. Now, again, we can access all the agent settings in here too. And then here we can have two options in the connection between these two agents. We have an AI connection, or we have a next step handoff. So for the next step, as you can see, when the agent is finished, it will always send its output to this agent. So you use this if you want to ensure this step is always taken. So basically, we're just making a workflow out of it. What this agent does, it will pass over to this, and then from there we can add in more, right? But you can also use the AI connection, and that's basically a sub agent, meaning this agent is the manager agent. He's gonna delegate a task whenever he needs to or feels like it based on the prompt, uh, a task to this research agent, which will then pass the information back to the content outliner. So you can see, as this is sort of a multi-agent setup, almost all of the connections here are AI connections, right? Because this is the manager agent, the article orchestrator, who gets in the message or the request, and he'll decide then which agents to call to execute on this workflow. So you can see all of these are AI connections. Now, again, you have some extra options here. You can have, again, human in the loop, approval required. You can add in a message template, which, for example, here we have. So the article orchestrator, whenever he gets a request, he will always be forced to say this to the keyword cluster planner. So create a content cluster for, and this is the variable, topic, or URL, is basically what the user asked, right? So the article orchestrator will fill out this variable according to what the query was from the user, right? So it will pass that information to the keyword cluster planner, who will then use the keyword researcher to get some more information about keywords, get that back, send it back to the article orchestrator. Once he has all the information on the keywords, he can start passing ideas to the content outliner. We'll write outlines for all of these content pieces. Then it will pass it back to the article orchestrator again. We'll pass it to the content writer, who has access to a research agent to do extra research on these specific topics, right? Then once those blogs are written, it will pass it to the blog asset maker, who will make assets or images for this post. And then, of course, finally, it can be sent to the export manager, who can post it on your website or add it to a Google Docs. We can also add in tools. So if we want to have something more deterministic or has to upload it to a specific software and we don't need an agent, we can just add a tool here, for example, right? Generate image. And then we just add it to this one. And then again, we can decide on an AI connection or a next step or handoff, right? So we can combine multiple tools, multiple agents, and so we can build more complex things here like this SEO team. Then we can also add in triggers. Now, in this case, you can see we have a manual trigger here, basically meaning we can access it from the chat or from here, from run, right? That's the only trigger we have set up right now. But of course, you can also have external triggers, right? From Slack, etc. So if I just show you, we can, for example, add in Slack trigger. All right, let's say SEO is the keyword, and for the chat. And now we've set up a Slack trigger, and we can also set up conditions. So for example, if we want the article orchestrator to only pass it to the content outliner, if there was a keyword that has over 1,000 monthly clicks, something like that, we can just describe it here, right? And that's the difference here. This is non-deterministic. This is done through AI, right? So we just basically add in a prompt here. Go to if the keyword volume is over 1,000, right? And then we've set up a condition. So as you can see, you can get a little bit more complex here in the workforce, but you have to experiment with it a little bit to get the hang of it. Now, lastly, here you have integrations. And again, Relevance AI. In the past, the issue with Relevance AI is that we didn't have that many integrations. Yeah, as you can see now, we have literally thousands. So anything you can imagine, you'll be able to find here. And of course, you can always set up a custom API call too, if your specific one is not here. So lastly, let me show you quickly how you import these agents. So you can go in the link in the description below and go to the free part of my community where you'll find free resources. Now, I haven't posted it yet, but there will be a post here with Relevance AI. You there get a link to Relevance AI, and you're just going to paste that link in your browser, right? If you don't have an account yet, it will ask you to create an account first, of course. And I'll just duplicate it here into my project. And then you see, you'll get all your agents here in Relevance AI. Now, important to understand is that I just use this link, or basically this agent structure here, more to be able to share it easily with you. This is not going to work perfectly because having 37 AI agents work together like this is not that useful, but it's really made for you to use it in the chat feature, right? So, but of course, now you have all of these agents that you've imported also here in the agents, so you can use them separately, and you can use them separately inside of the chat, right? So again, you can use the entire agent team, but it will probably don't work that well. So I recommend using it in the chat here. Now, of course, you have to update your specific softwares, your API keys, etc. Right. So if you come to an agent like this, for example, and you haven't set up a specific integration with your specific one, it will prompt you here to connect it to your account, right? So Relevance AI will help you set up the connection with your account. But of course, you will have to go through all these agents to set up the connections for you specifically. And for example, for the LinkedIn one, etc., you probably want to put in some references of yourself, so you make sure it follows your brand tone of voice and your call to action, etc. But it might get you 80-90% of the way there if you're looking for a specific use case. So that's it. Let me show you very quickly then how you connect it to Slack. So because I think it's a really interesting integration. So the way you do it is, I of course already have it set up, but I'll just do it from scratch. So the way you do it is you go to integrations. Now let's just remove this one so I can show you how to do this from scratch. Then you click here on connect new account. A new link will open. You just click here on allow. And now we've set up the connection. Now there's one more thing we have to do. We have to go to Slack, and inside of Slack, we have to choose on which channels we can trigger our agents. So let's say I want to trigger it on this one. I go to settings here, edit settings. Then I go to integrations. And you can see I already have it here, but you go here on add apps, and then you search for Relevance AI. You click add. You can see mine is already added there. And then Relevance AI is added to this channel. And what will happen then is once you go to an agent that you want to connect to Relevance AI, for example, let's say we want to add Tony, the AI BDR, we just click here on Slack, right? We select our workspace, we go continue. Now we can define the keyword for this specific agent, which is especially useful when you're going to connect multiple ones. You want to give it a keyword to know which specific agent you want to call. So let's say BDR. Right, and then we can choose the channels it can get triggered from. So let's say in this one, only from this one, but you can select all the ones you want. You click continue, right? Your Slack message needs to mention Relevance AI followed by a keyword, right? I understand, set up trigger, right? And then if I go to Slack and I go Relevance AI, right? Always have to tag him first, then go and use the tag or the keyword, and then your agent will get triggered. You can see now I get a reply here, right? Of course, I didn't give it any information, but you can see now it works. And now we can reply in this thread. And in this thread, we can basically talk to this agent back and forth. So that's how you set up the Slack integration, which I think is really interesting. Now, that's it for this video. If you got any questions or need any help or want me to explain something a little bit better, just let me know in the comments below and I'll really consider it. Of course, I'm still also going to show N8N. I just thought this was a really cool new feature, so I wanted to show you guys. Of course, I'm not going to run through every single one of the 37 agents, but by just cloning the template, I think you get the structure and how they are set up very quickly. Again, if you got any value out of this video, I highly appreciate a like and a subscribe. It really does help me. And I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you so much. Bye.